What's going on, my friend? I appreciate you coming out here. This is Burn the Ship. I'm Bailey. Our goal of Burn the Ship, it's directional, so you can just it's kind of lagging because it's heavier than it's supposed to be, but it'll catch your voice right there.
No worries.
I guess you can move it to wherever it's comfortable, but the mic is just too heavy for the stand. It's supposed to be two tables right here to use those mic stands.
Okay.
Tables, everything's here but the tables.
It's all good, no worries.
But yeah, I appreciate you coming out. I think what you do is really, really unique and really cool. I've never really talked to anybody in your industry. Burn the Ship is about talking to professionals about business so that we can really pass on some of those traits that you learn through some of the experiences that you have in small business to other people that are interested kind of in the same thing. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your business?
All right. Well, I appreciate it, Bailey. It's very nice to meet you and to be on Burn the Ship here with you guys. I'm Brandon Rivers. Some people call me Muddy. I run Homegrown MMA, and we focus on three different things. The first thing that we focus on is education. We educate the fighters on their role in the sport, how they can add value to themselves and create financial opportunity. And then we have create a platform to promote these guys. That's our second. That's the second prong here. And we promote these guys with articles, interviews. We connect them with a podcast, anything we can do to help promote these guys. So that's going to help them be successful and help them in the long run in building their brand and letting people understand who they are. So that's the second thing we do. And then the third thing that we focus on is networking. So that is connecting everybody to everything. First we want to educate them, let them know where they stand, promote them so people can understand who they are, and then we connect them to opportunity, whether that be a fight, a gym, sponsors, whatever the next step for these fighters looks like. We want to be able to provide them with that opportunity and connect them to it. So, and it's not just a one-way type thing. We want to connect the businesses to the fighters. We want to connect everybody. Because right now, as we've talked about a little bit on the phone, this is the very beginning of the mixed martial arts field. It's a very young sport. What I consider the beginning of mixed martial arts began in 2001 when they unified the rules. So with that understanding, 2002. With that understanding, the sport is only 21 years old. And it's a young sport. You think about any other sport that is that young, in football, basketball, NBA. At each period, at each point in this period, there was a lot of competition. All right, there was not just an NFL. There was not just an NBA. There wasn't just an MLB. There were several different leagues competing for the attention of the fans, and that is where we are with MMA. And the infrastructure does not currently exist for these fighters to build a set path to success. Even though they might get to the UFC, one, there's no way to guarantee that you can make it to the top level, and two, there's still no financial security when you make it to the top level.
Mm-hmm.
You might go
Even
out,
as a top 15 guy,
top 15 guy in the UFC, the top level. You're still you're making $20,000-$40,000 for your fight,
mm-hmm.
but you're only fighting 2-3 times a year.
Yeah, if it goes well, you sit there and get your leg kicked for 3 rounds, you might not fight for 9 months.
It happens all the time, and where these guys, they don't really understand is that the UFC is a brand, it's a promotion,
mm-hmm.
It is a league. It gives them the opportunity for financial to advance financially, but they are not the end all be all. They're not going to be the ones that write you those $100,000 check, those $1 million checks. They're not going to be the company that does that for you, especially not for the average fighter. Less than 1% of fighters that ever pick up the gloves are ever going to make it to the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
So there has to be some type of an in-between, some type of a method for these fighters to have financial success and in the sport without depending on making it into that 1%.
Yeah.
And that looks a lot like creating your own brand, understanding that you are a business, which is so difficult for these fighters to understand. They look at their idols. They look at the Jake Pauls. They look at the Conor McGregors. They look at the Sean O'Malley's. They look at these guys and they don't understand how they got to that point. They don't understand that there's a team behind these guys driving them, that they're capitalizing off of more than just these fights, that they are building their brand, they're selling merchandise, they're selling, I mean, cigars, cigarettes, whatever it is. Whiskey, those have to be the healthiest thing.
Mm-hmm.
They keep them, they separate their business
Hot sauce.
from
Yeah.
hot sauce. Shout out, anything, whatever your brand is, you can build that through yourself, and each fighter is different. We can use that to connect to different sponsors, to different industries that aren't currently involved in the sport, because there hasn't been a fighter that connects with those fans or that is in that industry, from that industry, that really highlights the usefulness in between those two.
Sure.
So it's a really an exciting time to be in the MMA industry. It's like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like the Wild Wild West,
Sure.
Everybody knows the UFC. They don't know about the 300 other small promotions.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
United
for
States.
sure. I mean, you would be lucky if people know PFL or ONE or Bellator, and you definitely don't know anybody that knows fights regionally other than you're really interested in the sport or you compete yourself or things like that.
Absolutely. And that's, unfortunately, that's kind of what got me started here in Georgia, is the lack of accountability from the leadership of the people at the top. There's, you wouldn't even know. You've been living in Georgia for many years. You wouldn't even know there was MMA in this state. And it has.
That's very true.
If you're not in the community, which is a thriving community, it deserves so much better than what it is currently getting. But that's kind of where it is right now. The people at the top are happy with what's happening. They're making their money, and they're not looking to do what a promotion or what those at the top should do, is continue to grow the sport. It just kind of reverberates into the community that is already there.
Mm-hmm.
And we want growth. And I kind of started pushing those ideas out to the community that, hey, we could be doing things to grow this sport for the fighters, to create financial opportunities for the fighters. And it was actually reached, people fought back against it. That was
Sure.
really hard pushback, especially from those at the top. Ended up getting blacklisted for telling the community different ways to make money, or even making a suggestion. To be honest with you, I made a suggestion to the top promotion in Georgia. The suggestion that I made was that they should sell the fighters T-shirts and allow them to make commission on these T-shirts at their events. That got me banned.
Wow.
That's how I burned the ship.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So what kind of resources are there out there? Like how many people, both yourself and in your network, are working with the people that you're looking to reach that have been through those things, like that have been, fighting at some level and figured out a way to brand themselves and be a business? Like, who are you relying on for the know-how of all of these things? Or do you have people that have kind of walked that walk in your circle? How far did you go down that road yourself?
Yeah, so, I did fight. I have been at this level, at this sport, at every level that you could be, from a fighter to a coach to a manager to a promoter. Anything that you've done in the sport, I've had my hand in it, and part of that is I started off as a fighter. The infrastructure has never really been there, but especially 10, 12 years ago on the amateur level, it was a lot different.
Mm-hmm.
You got the good promotions are on pay-per-view. On the amateur level, they're having 1,500, 2,000 people coming to these shows. Back when I got started, 12 years ago, it wasn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
I was fighting in fairgrounds, with 200 people. There wasn't really an opportunity for, for all the sponsorships and everything to happen. And the promotions that existed, they didn't have all of the regulations that they had to go through now. They didn't. You could go fight for a place. It's not even sanctioned. You don't know whether they have insurance or anything like that. And thank God that we've gone a long way from then to now. But when I first got started in the sport, that's where we were. And I saw that, and Went through all of that from, going out of state, getting screwed over on different promotions, getting my fights pulled right before the for the event, people not wanting to pay for your travel, getting injured, having to pay out of pocket, all these different learning experiences that you wouldn't even know existed in this sport without having gone through it. So a lot of what I am doing is, I'm being the person that I wish that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, a lot of what drives me is that I know how cutthroat this sport can be. And to provide guidance for the young generation and to help anyone not be able to go through some of the hardships that I went through and reach their goals, that's what it's about to me.
Yeah, for sure.
But, through that, through my journey, especially in the very beginning, I was able to make connections. It's not that big of a community.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I have, thank God, I can rely on several people that I call my mentors and that will be able to help me anytime I give them a call. So it comes out, from whether it be from UFC fighters, pioneers in the sport, and from managing or from promoting. We're able to call on various experiences, and the knowledge is tremendous that I've been able to attain from the generations that come before me.
So what's been the most difficult thing since kind of going into business for yourself and guiding these people? What do you think has been the most difficult thing for you as far as navigating this whole thing business-wise?
The hardest thing, there's two hard things, is kind of figuring out, because where I come from, or where this business comes from, is a place of wanting to help and wanting to help these fighters. So for me, it was difficult to come up with a viable business plan that would create income. I had these ideas, I had these dreams and these goals and these, they're really, these formulas essentially that I wanted to share with the world. And, that was my main goal, was to give the information, to educate, to help the next generation. But, without a business plan, without making income, it takes money to make money.
Yeah, for sure.
That was a very difficult part for me. I invested a lot of money into getting my message out there before I was able to come up with a game plan that centered around the message and creating income. That was one of the hardest things. The second hardest thing I would say is having to fight the community that's nearest to me. I created this, when I had this idea, was to help the Georgia fighters I knew we're very far behind the rest of the communities in the MMA world as far as the United States goes. You go down to Florida, they're thriving, they're leaders in the industry. You go to California, they're thriving, they're leaders. Nevada, California, Texas, everywhere is growing and thriving, and Georgia's been very, very, very stagnant over the last 20 years. So it was my goal to help these guys. We have so much talent that lives here. Shout out to Doug Usher. He, one of the most talented people who has ever fought in MMA in Georgia, and he was just held down by this one promotion, and it's unfair. Unfortunately, the leverage and power that these guys have over your career, and they just don't. It benefits them to not move you forward.
Yeah, for sure.
So
Don Kings of the MMA world.
Shoot, Don King, at least, Don King helped a couple people get some money, but what's going on in Georgia is damn near criminal. Just the amount of talent that we have, that it doesn't, any fighter.
Transition into revenue and promotion and all those things.
Absolutely. They don't, they never get an opportunity. And that's part of the mentality that a fighter has is, hey, I'm going to do these things. I'm going to follow what my coach says. I'm going to follow the path, and I'll get that call. Nobody's telling these guys, hey, you need to be building your brand. You need to be creating a platform and utilizing the platform that's in front of you to build your social media presence so that you can create sponsors and get sponsorships so that you can get financial opportunity. But other than financial opportunity, the opportunity to promote yourself in other venues, to
Mhm.
travel, to go and be in front of.
Train in other places,
Absolutely.
network. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, all these things are what's going to get you to the next level. Sitting and fighting in front of the same group of people over and over again is very limiting to your career.
For sure.
And I've seen people, waste their whole careers waiting on a call that is not going to come in Atlanta, Georgia. It's
Yeah,
going to
because
come.
nobody knew's seen what you can do.
No, and I mean, these guys don't even, these guys don't even have pay-per-view. You can't see it. They don't put stuff on YouTube. It's fighting in an empty room.
Yeah.
These guys will go out there. Everybody that's in the room, they see it, but there's no opportunity anywhere else to see this stuff. So
Sure.
it really sucks in the promotion of these guys. They have wins, but nobody knows who they are outside of in
Their
a very
network,
small
that one promotions
community.
network, yeah.
So it's kind of a tough spot, but
What would you say, just on the flip side of that, like, you have done best, kind of in that same?
Utilizing the network that exists outside of this community to find success. I go down to Florida a lot. We got promotions in South Carolina, Alabama. We would go work with people in Texas. Not using that as an excuse. It was very difficult to, and it hurt my heart mostly. It wasn't even that difficult considering the network that we were blessed with, but it hurt my heart to not be able to first help the Georgia fighters. That really is. They were the ones that I wanted to help the most, but they're the ones that are going to get the message the last because of the community. And I mean that right there is just that was probably the biggest thing. A lot of what I do is from the heart. So and it causes me a lot of stress when I'm not able to help the ones that I initially.
Most important to you, yeah.
Absolutely. So we have to recalibrate and figure out what's the best way to make it happen. And it was difficult, but just traveling. I mean, just having to not be able to go an hour or or two to go to a fight. To have to go 6 to 8 hours, which is what I've done in the MMA world. It's not that difficult, but to take a crew, to build, on faith. You know what I mean? To go out there and not know what is on the other side, and to go and look for opportunities and seek them. That was hard on the inside, but it was been worth it, and the growth has been tremendous. It's not been overnight. We've been doing this for over 2.5 years now. So it's been a journey, and there's been a lot of ups and downs, but I would say that those have been the two biggest obstacles that we have had to overcome so far.
For sure. I'll tell you, I hope to be an asset to you. Like I said, I'll explain a little bit more once we get done with this whole thing, but what we've done with Soup Sandwich is pretty cool. I can relate to you in what you're saying when you say, less than 1% are ever going to make it to the UFC that put the gloves on. Less than probably 1,000% are going to have 1 million or more subscribers on YouTube, and we have clawed our way to become competitive and to become, to make ourselves known to other brands and people that can collaborate with us in effective ways. Like, I can relate to that journey, and I hope to be able to be an asset in the engine to help a lot of people that you are working with yourself. But the way that we always in the podcast is kind of an ode to our names, burn the ship. What's it feel like to burn the ship? What's it feel like to go all in on your business, no matter what the, no matter what the influence is? What's it feel like to wear that entrepreneur hat day in and day out and know that, the buck stops with you, and the value that you're bringing to this community stops when you stop?
I'd say it's freeing. It's freeing to know that, no matter, whether, what happens, no matter what enemies I may have, that I have a team of people that support me and a group of people that I have been able to help and to touch, as far as helping them in their careers. So that, it's freeing. It allows me to be me. It allows me to have a big heart. It allows me to give as much as I would like to give as a person to the business, to the fighters. That's been probably the best thing, and the what keeps and drives me is that I get to to show my empathy for people without it, without necessarily having to have it backfire or there
Yeah,
be
for sure.
some type of a negative connotation with it, or just some type of stigma associated with it. I can just help people, and it can be a profitable thing, and I am able to be myself.
Yeah,
So-
for sure. Yeah, it's not like you're helping people that are less fortunate. Nobody knows. You know what I mean? Nobody knows. It's a brand new thing, and some people have figured out how to corner the market and raise the price early.
Very
You
few.
know what I'm saying?
Very few.
And so no, I'm picking up what you're putting down, and I appreciate it. And like I said, we'll talk off camera here in a minute. I'll edit this over the next couple of weeks, and I'll put it out to the world. But more than anything, I appreciate you coming and sharing your story and sharing the value that you're trying to bring with people. And like I said, I hope I can help.
Yeah, well,
Cool.
I mean, any help we can take, any help we can get.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, just what these guys are doing. I mean, it's crazy. Everybody loves to see a fight. Everybody loves to see a fight. Nobody's willing to fight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tell these guys is the minute that you're willing to step into the cage in front of people, you have value.
Mm-hmm.
You provide value to the promotion, and you also provide value to the fans, and you can create fans, and you can build your brand. If you can sell a ticket, you can sell a T-shirt, because the very first thing these guys, if they're buying a ticket from you, they're coming to see you, and if they're coming to see you, they're supporting you. And it's just kind of figuring out that a lot of these guys don't think that they can sell a T-shirt until they
Mm-hmm.
make it to the UFC. It's like, no, you can sell a T-shirt before you even make your first appearance, because people will support you and want you to make it to the UFC. And that's the only way you're going to do that is by
Because
getting trained.
they know that you're doing something that they're not willing to do.
Yes. And
That's the thing that is so entertaining about the sport.
Yes, sir.
You're doing what people are not willing to do
No.
under any circumstances.
No, people will do it in defense.
Yeah,
But
maybe. Fight is one of the options. Flight is the other one, and you'd be surprised.
yeah, well, yeah, you're right. Well,
Yeah.
like I said, it's very, very few amount of people that would step in front of a group of people, another
Mhm.
group of people, knowing that another man is trying to kill them, and that makes you valuable, no matter what.
Yeah, for sure.
There's less than 12,000 pro fighters in the United States, so each and every one of those fighters should be able to command a share of the market and be able to be financially successful in this sport through sponsorships and endorsements. There is absolutely no reason at all for them to struggle through life, knowing that there's only 12,000 fighters and 400 million people that want to see it.
Let's do it.
Hey,
Let's make it happen. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it. Thank you.